Dear God, I'm ready for your help in removing from me the defects of character which I now realise are an obstacle to my recovery. Help me to continue being honest with myself and guide me towards spiritual and mental health. It is with much love and gratitude that the group welcomes Ralph White to come and share with us. Ralph, over to you.
Afternoon, everybody. My name is Ralph White. I am an alcoholic. I'd like to welcome anybody that's new to our program and to our way of life. And I hope that you find in this space what I found in my last 38 years walking this walk with you guys. My sobriety date is October the 11th, 1986. And what we're here to talk about today, you guys, I'm going to give my own experience with these steps. It is by no means, I'm by no means an authority. I am not a spokesperson. I'm not an expert. I'm an alcoholic who has found recovery from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body, and I like to talk about it. Step 6, we're entirely ready to have God remove all our defects of character. And step 7, humbly ask Him to remove our shortcomings. I surrendered October the 10th of 1986, and I didn't know how momentous that day would be for me because it started out looking like any other day. I'm a alcoholic of the hopeless variety, but you got to multiply that by a factor of 10 because I'm also a smoker. And that October in 1986, I was smoked out. And I was in a real bad way, you guys. I was in a real dark place. Every day had looked the same for quite a while. I'm a guy who had some things in my life. I'm a guy who was, at that time, I was a father to a 2.5-year-old girl who I didn't know where she was enrolled in school. I was a husband to a lady that I didn't know where she and my daughter were living at the time. I was sleeping in the back of my mother's garage. I was eating lemons off a neighbor's lemon tree for breakfast. I'm a guy who had a bright future and a bright outlook, and I had been I had always considered myself kind of a chosen one. I want you to hold on to that theme when we go into the 6th and 7th step. It's important. But I had some things in life, and I had acquired some things in life, and I had made something of myself. And if you're an alcoholic of my variety, that meant you had a lot to lose, and I lost it all. I was working in management in the law department of a major utility company. I got fired from that job in 84, and I went into treatment in August of 85. I got sober for 89 days, and I sat at a table at a club with a girl who I went out with, a friend of mine, and she was dancing with a guy and left a Long Island iced tea on the table with me. And I drank that Long Island iced tea because I admitted I was an alcoholic, step 1, but I had not done the first step. I had not conceded to my innermost self. I admitted it because it's the price of admission to talk at meetings, and I like talking at meetings. And so I admitted it. But when I sat with that Long Island iced tea, I'm a guy that says to myself often, what you do speak so loud, I can't hear what you say. What you do speak so loud, I can't hear what you say. I don't care about what you're saying. I say that to myself. And so what was proven to me was I had a reservation. I thought I could drink. I thought I could drink, and I thought I could smoke. I thought I could sell dope. I'm not smoking. Surely I can do that. And I got a full understanding of my condition, and I washed up on the shores of Alcoholics Anonymous, October the 11th of 1986, and that was a surrender. And I surrendered to the fact, I didn't surrender to the fact that I could not get loaded. I surrendered to the fact that I would get loaded, period. And I did not surrender on my own. I was surrendered. Interesting thing. We're going to bring that home when we get to the 6th and 7th step. So that surrender, you guys, I came in, I surrendered to the fact that I can't get loaded anymore, right? I can't drink and I can't use. But here's the curious thing about that surrender. And so I came to the program, and you would think that the rest of my time in recovery will be spent on how not to take the first drink and how not to hit that insidious horn, because I was smoking. I couldn't stop. And for smokers, we understand the phenomena of craving like most people don't. The phenomena of craving for us is, I ain't never took one and deliberated over whether I'm going to have another. You better hand me the goddamn pipe, right? That's how so I was really aware. So you would think we would spend a lot of time on not drinking and not using. But you launched me on a course of action, and guess what? I spend no time at all, none, on thinking about not drinking and thinking about not using. And I spend all my time on this thing that I launched into when I got on my knees in 1987 with a group of men and women. And I said, okay, because I know I got something that's bigger than me. There's something that I'm working with. And what's bigger than me is drugs and alcohol. Bill Wilson described it as his master. He called it quicksand. I had met my match, been overwhelmed. So I knew I had a power bigger than me. I needed a power bigger than it. Wow. And I started going to meetings, and I started listening to you guys, and you introduced me to the concept of a power you had discovered that was bigger than it, that was bigger than the gorilla, that got that bully off the block, that got him off your back. I was interested. I had been raised in church, and I had a passing acquaintance. I had more than a passing acquaintance with the God idea. I had what Dr. Bob describes as an overdose of religious education. I grew up in the Baptist church, you guys, and I heard a lot of stories about this power, and that's what I thought they were. Daniel in the lion's den, Jonah in the whale's belly, Moses parting the Red Sea, my friend Steve, Jack and the Beanstalk. They all sounded the same to me. Just stories, myths, fables. And so I came to you, skeptic, cynic, scoffer. Forget that God idea. I got my boys on here, and I'm glad to see him. And Rico talks about coming in being a no God baby. And I came in being the knowing and having a religious education, but I come up in the 60s, you guys. I'm not trying to hear it. It's for weaklings. It's for people who need a crutch. It's for, we sharper than that, this generation. We smarter than that. We do not need that at all. And so, but I came in here under the lash of alcoholism. And before I did our second step, and I want you guys to stay with me, and the reason I'm weaving our steps, I can't talk about one without the other. I don't do discrete steps, you guys. I do a lifestyle. I do a manner of living. I do what our book describes as a design for living. And everything stands on everything else, right? And so this business of this power greater than myself was super important for me. And I came in the skeptic, the cynic, the scoffer. You call me agnostic, and you sent me to a chapter. And that thing was so freeing to me. But the reason why I was able to wrap my head around the God idea, two things. One, I'm selfish and self-centered, right? These defects of character, which I'm going to talk about shortly, that we come in with, sometimes they work for me. Make a note of that. Make a note of that. And one of my defects of character at that time, was, I came in and I trapped in this idea that I know more than the average person, that I'm smarter than the average guy. But I go to these meetings, you guys, and I'm not stupid. I'm arrogant. I'm stubborn. I'm hard headed. I'm not stupid. And you guys started talking about this power greater than you. that, and each one of you was singing off the same sheet of music. I go to a meeting across town, somebody would get up and say, my name is Purdy, I'm an alcoholic and I'm a dope fiend. I found a power bigger than me. I haven't had a drink or a hit in 6 months. I go across town and there be Katie. My name is Katie. I'm an alcoholic. I found a power bigger than me. I haven't had a drink and I haven't used alcohol or drugs in a year. I went across town and saw Bill Swan at a meeting. He didn't even know Purdy. He didn't even know Katie. My name is Bill. I'm a dope fiend. I found a power bigger than me. I haven't had a drink or a hit in 2 years. And not that many of you guys will be lying to me. And I took step 2 out of desperation, and I took it out of what do I have to lose? Because not that many of you guys will be lying. And it launched me somewhere. I got on my knees. And at the time that I got on my knees, I did not know this power, was not really interested in this power, you guys, but I had a self-interest. This is where defects of character work for me. I have a self-interest. I had a vested interest in getting the gorilla off the block. I had no vested interest in there not being a God. In fact, I came in here hoping that y'all weren't lying about this guy. Really. I got out of the debate society. Why? What's in it for me for there not to be a God? Smoking, walking the aimless walk, laying on my mama's living room floor crying them tears again, eating lemons off a neighbor's lemon tree for breakfast. That's what's in it for me for there not to be. And I took the grand experiment. And if there's anybody on the platform right now, I invite you to take the grand experiment. We call that grand experiment, and most of us don't look at it like that, but that grand experiment of the platform we're on today is the experiment known as Cocaine Anonymous. Okay, you bad. You don't have to believe there's a power. You don't have to believe there's a God. You could laugh at the rest of us in here. You could call us lame. You could call us weak. You could call us all kind of stuff. I want you to do one thing. Look at your life and where it is that you are right now, running it on your will. Well, if you me, I'm 33 years old without a driver's license. Check. I'm 33 years old without ID. Check. I'm 33 years old sleeping in the back of my mother's garage. Check. I'm 33 years old, not having had a job in the last 2 years. Check. I'm 33 years old, not able to look at myself full face in the mirror. Check. I'm 33 years old, and I no longer have the will of care or the power of choice over whether or not I'd be doing it in the morning. That's where my will got me. They talking about this God thing. I know. I don't like it. I don't want to like it. I know that's the medicine you prescribe, but I don't like the way it looked like the medicine tastes, but I'm dying. Take the experiment route. Let's try it on for size. Let's try this God idea. Let's try getting on our knees right now and inviting him in. I don't know you, Miss. I don't know you, sir. I don't know who you are. I don't know anything about you. I believe that maybe, just maybe, you know me, and I'm scared about that because there's some ugly things about me. But those people in the meeting speak very highly of you, and I would like to get to know you. And I promise, if you do for me what these people say you've done for them, get them out of that, they call it that bondage of self. I've always been tightly wound. I've never been able to get out of my own way. I've always been overly concerned with what other people think about me. I always think I know more than other people. I'm giving you a litany of what we would later call defects of character. We sum them up as bondage of self. I've always had too much of that going on with me. If you would take just a little bit and give me some relief for a minute, I really would appreciate that. And if you let me celebrate Christmas and birthdays, that would be nice. That would be nice. And while I'm down here on my knees, if you handing out some of that self-respect that I see these men walk around with, I'd like some of that too. And I promise, because I know I'm a grown man. I know stuff is going to come my way. I know it ain't going to all be peaches and cream. I know I'm going to have some things that I'm going to have to deal with, but I promise, if you take me through them, Take away my difficulties. I promise I'll tell the people it was you. For 38 years, I've been keeping that promise. And I'm here to share with you guys today that it's him. And I got on my knees. And the way that you knew you do a third step, you guys, you'll have a pen in your hand. That's the evidence of a third step. Not crying, not hugging. That's the evidence of maybe doing a third step prayer. But the evidence of doing a third step is a pen in hand. And I put that pen in hand and I saw some truths about myself. And I shared it with somebody else, which was a big deal for a scared little boy like me. I don't tell on myself. I don't write stuff down, paper trail, snitching. I don't do any of that. I'm a secret keeper. I'm a guy that gets ashamed of what I think you think about me. I'm very much dominated by that. Hold on to that thought too. We're going to talk about that momentarily. Dominated by what I think the people in the world think about me. And I come out of doing that fifth step with somebody. And now I got a list of some things that I see in black and white. When we do that fifth step, a lot of times, you guys, I'm not one of these people that do a whole lot of tripping off how you write your inventory and the minute. I used to put a lot of stock in doing the mechanics right. You know how to do the mechanics right? Do them. The only wrong way is not to do them. We're men and women up in here. We go up in motels. We walk around and sell stuff in the middle of the night. We go up in people's pockets. We walk around the yards of penitentiaries. We get fired from jobs. We go and put in people's purses. We embarrass our kids at their graduations. We roll around on the floor and we make fools out of ourselves. We embarrass our parents. We discuss the kids. That's who we are. And then we get in a place like this and we get on each other about how we write a fourth copy. Are you serious with me right now? Sponsors, while we on here. Ain't no bad way to do it. Nothing's wasted in God's economy. So I come into that sixth step. We're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. How do I get ready? By doing everything I've been doing all this life. We have 2 paragraphs devoted to step 6 and 7. I'm here to talk about what you guys brought me to talk about right now. We have 2 paragraphs devoted to step 6 and 7 in our big book, Alcoholics Anonymous. Most people who are like me think that because it's so little devoted in the text to those 2 steps, that indicates their worth, their value, their significance, and their importance. And I believe that the reason those 2 paragraphs are devoted to 6 and 7 is because in actuality, our whole book is devoted to step 6 and step 7. My whole life is devoted to step 6 and step 7. My whole life is either about, the nourishment and the cultivation of these defects of character, or post-recovery, getting in touch with a power greater than myself, the elimination, the reduction, the removal of these defects, and they're not going to go away, you guys. One of the reasons why I think that only 2 paragraphs are devoted, because there's not a lot more to talk about it. Let me talk about step 6. We're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. I'm getting ready right now. I'm 38 years sober, and there are still things about me that I see. Last night, me and Leslie were looking at, we were binge watching something on, and I think Paradise. And I said something, and she said, I already said that already. And I flared. Oh, I can't say something that you already said it. And I flared up, and my self-righteousness, my indignation, my all these things you guys can give words to jumped out of me, unbidden. And I was thinking about the fact that I'm going to give a talk about 6 and 7 today. And the fact that I still seem to be afflicted with certain things in me that have not been eliminated. I'm gonna pose a couple of things to you guys for your consideration. And you don't have to agree. You don't have to disagree. In fact, I'm gonna ask that you don't agree or disagree. I'm gonna ask that you sit up and consider, 6 and 7 and where they land in your life. All of us here are grown men and grown women. And as we go through life, it's my contention that there is one entity that is without defect. And what is that entity? Most of us would say, well, we call it God. We call it higher power. We call it creative intelligence. We call it whatever word we use for it. But we say that is the entity that is without defect, right? That is perfection. So anything that is not God is by definition defective. To be human is to be defective. It is a divine design feature. How many people on here have ever said to themselves, Ralph, I don't feel like I'm enough. Life is big for me. I don't think that I'm enough. And the reason for that, you guys, I maintain is because I ain't enough. Wait a minute, Mr. Speaker. You're supposed to be encouraging me. Why are you sitting up here? I got low self-esteem. I ain't designed to be enough by myself. I'm not designed to be a standalone unit. I'm designed to be connected. I'm designed to be connected to a power. And my contention, you guys, is I'm designed to be connected to you. It is a design feature. I incline toward light. I incline toward society. I incline toward my fellows. I incline toward working with others. I incline toward service. It seems to be that I flourish in that. It seems to be that I'm my best version of me when I'm connected either to you or to this power of ours, and so this business of defects of character, I think it is the main portal through which I get connected to the power, and so this become what, entirely ready. There's going to be some, if you read in the 12 and 12, and even if you read in the big book, it talks about, so we pray and we ask for readiness if it's not there. This business of prayer. And let me get to the 7th step, and then I'm going to weave them two together, I hope. I shouldn't have did that preamble because I'm going to need a whole nother session to talk about the rest of this. But let's see what we get. The 7th step, humbly ask him to remove our shortcomings. Say it again, everybody. Humbly ask him to remove our shortcomings. That's the 7th step. That's it. Not write an index card. No. Shut up, bro. I'm not telling you what not to do. I'm not going to tell you what not to do. I am going to tell you what my understanding of the 36 years of practice in this is. And the reason there is no instruction after that, humbly ask. What can come after humbly ask? Anything else is Ralph putting his hand in it. Anything else after humbly ask. It doesn't say humbly ask, then Ralph, you go write an index. It doesn't say humbly ask, then Ralph, you go determine what the defects are. It doesn't say humbly ask, then Ralph, you go determine how you're going to take the defect away. It doesn't say humbly ask, it says humbly ask. What? Why is that so important? And why is that? Because that is the crux. That is what the 7th step is all about, you guys. This humbly ask, this prayer, and this business of prayer. This business of prayer is not petitional. I don't pray for intercession. I don't pray to change God's opinion. I don't pray because I'm trying to get. And here's the deal. A lot, and I'm not knocking this at all, because there are some people I'm praying for right now. I'm praying right now. But I'm not petitioning to change God's mind. I'm not petitioning to give God direction. And I'm not petitioning to get favor by coming in with the most popular prayers and the greatest group of people praying. That's like football teams say, they're Super Bowl champs, and we prayed and God looked. Really? Wasn't the other team praying? So what is this business of prayer in the 7th step, dude? If it's not to petition God and the rest of it, here's the business, you guys. I don't pray to change. I don't petition God to change God. I pray for me to be changed. The reason for prayer is that's the relationship. The reason for prayer in the 7th step is relational. That's conversational. That is how I get in relation to the power. That is how I say, it turns out that I am an entitled person, right? I'm selfish. I'm self-centered. By the time I come here and I start doing the things that I start doing with you guys, I think I'm entitled to an opinion. I think I'm entitled to have a way. I think I'm entitled to a point of view. I think I'm entitled to my rightness. I think I'm entitled to tell you how it is you should be doing what it is that you're doing. I think I'm entitled to direct um, and control my kids. I think and this business of entitlement, you guys, even though it sounds like it's logical and it's reasonable, it's at the heart of my defects of character. And so when I pray, God does not need me praying to him. God needs me praying because he knows I need to pray. He knows that I need to always remind myself, Ralph, this is not of you. Ralph, this recovery that is yours is not of you. Ralph, this grace that is yours is free. It's from me. You don't earn it. You don't get more than the next person. You don't have there's nothing you can do to forfeit it. There's nothing you can do. When people say grace is an unearned gift, I don't say that. That's like saying oxygen is an unearned gift. Oxygen is oxygen. It's yours. It's yours. Grace is yours. It's what we get. It's as a result of it. And that's the whole business of 6 and 7, you guys. How much is grace and how much is responsibility? Ralph, what are you talking about if you're saying all you do is leave it to this power? Turns out that my job is getting out of the way. God's job is removing the defects. My job ain't even identifying the defect. My job is allowing the power to operate through me. And it turns out, you guys, 6 and 7 is developmental. It's developmental. I can't think up on it. I can't write up on it. I know a lot of people are getting disappointed right now because I like to think it's got to be something I can do. Spons, I got to be able to write some more inventory. Spons, I got to be able to do some more work. It's got to be something. It ain't nothing for you to do, dude. It ain't nothing for you to do. What do you mean it ain't nothing for me to do? And there's everything for you to do. You're talking out both sides of your mouth right now. I want to introduce you guys to the spiritual world. More than one thing is true at the same time. So, Ralph, what are you saying to me? I'm saying to you that grace is the grace. And at the same time, you got to be responsible for staying out of the way. Think about it, you guys. How many of us, when we get up, think about not drinking and not using? How many of us focus on, damn, today I know I can't take the first one? Is anybody in there focused on, I know I can't take the first one? No. What I focus on is getting up. I go to a meeting. I talk to a sponsor. I talk to my sponsees. I do an inventory. I share it with somebody else. I then do it, and then now I clean up my past. I stand in front of people. I continue to look for the stuff that has been causing me problems all this time. We call that a 10th step. And I go in the 11th step and I keep doing what I was doing in the 10th step. And it turns out that my job is to focus on relationship with the power. The power's job is to remove the defects of character. That's my whole job. Focus on the relationship with the power. So I come out of 6 and 7. Think about 6 and 7 like this. You have a lamp, and it's a bad bomb ass lamp, right? Gold inlaid. You in Dubai, one of these sheiks that spend his money, stupid money. You get a gold inlaid lamp, coldest lamp, most expensive lamp in the world, and it's got a bulb in it. And you put that lamp right there on the table, and you look at that lamp, and you cut that lamp on, and it doesn't do anything. You in the dark, and you still in the dark. And you say, damn, this expensive ass lamp, it looks good. It's ornamental. It costs a lot of money, but it ain't lighting up the room. And then somebody comes in there and Sandy comes in and she says, well, shit, it ain't plugged in. And plugs that lamp in. And that lamp does what it's designed to do. It's designed to be plugged in. You can be pretty. You can be smart. You can be sharp. You can be rich. But a design feature, I'm designed to be plugged in. And when I'm plugged in, I do what I'm designed to do, you guys. I shine. I illume. I light. That's a design feature. I'm designed to be plugged in. And that is something so these defects of character, they ain't ever going nowhere entirely. And I'm not responsible for removing them. So what am I responsible for doing? When I come out of that 6, and now this is the integration. So when I get through doing the 4th and the 5th step, you guys, now we get integrated. I look at these defects and I can start looking at them and naming them. I'm arrogant. I'm self-righteous. I'm judgmental. I got to have the last word. I'm incredibly sensitive to criticism, although I criticize my ass off. I could list them. I can list them all, but it's an empty exercise. But do it. Do the exercise. Do the exercise, because I think all of it is valuable on the spiritual path. Here's what you don't do. Don't grade your own paper. Don't grade your progress. Don't call your sponsor again saying, damn, sponsor, it seems like I just can't. I was talking to you about this porn thing. I was able to get away for 2 weeks and I found myself back on there. What's wrong with me? I'm a piece of, don't grade your own paper. I'm getting ready. I'm getting entirely ready. Damn, sponsor, I said I wasn't going to answer that call. I know I shouldn't have answered the call, but it's Wednesday and I get lonely and I feel, even though I said I wasn't going to do it again, and I answered that call and I jumped up and I went over there and I knew it wasn't a good idea. And man, what's wrong with me? Don't grade your own paper. Getting ready. Getting ready. Nothing's wasted in God's economy. And the thing about the getting ready, you guys, I think that I think I'm responsible for my own change and my own transformation. I'm responsible for my connection to the power. The power is responsible for my transformation. Hear me. Don't miss it. Not saying I'm abdicating responsibility. I just got to know what I'm responsible for. My sponsor says the farmer doesn't grow, the farmer plants. I'm responsible for planting the seed. God is responsible for growing the crop. I'm not even responsible for picking the weeds, because when I do the picking of the weeds, you guys, I'm not capable. I'm not qualified. I'll go in there and I think I'm pulling out the weeds and I'm pulling out the wheat. That's why when we do our 7-step prayer, we say to God, we pray that you now remove from me every single defective character that stands up. That's why I don't specify. I'm not qualified. Why am I not qualified? Because guess what I'm bringing to the table? Me. The biggest defective character that I've had for 71 years is bondage of self. Self can't overcome self. Self can't serve self-determined self. So when I get into this, so when I start doing 8 and 9, something happens when I sit in front of the people. Because I come out of that 6 and 7 step and I have a list of 8 and 9. That's why you guys just do the process. Trust the process. Trust this process. What is this process for? This process is connecting me to a power. And so trust the process. And so when I get connected to that power and I go into 8 and 9, and here's what happens in the 9th step, you guys. I start doing some things that I don't know what they're doing. But just like I think fear is the chief activator of my defects of character, I think that amends, self-examination, prayer, meditate, I think 8, 9, 10, 11. I think that's the chief activator of the radical grace. Radical grace. I've had grace up until that point, right? I've had grace that has got me sober. I had grace on October the 11th before I even went to a meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous or Cocaine Anonymous. Something happened. Something big. In fact, the biggest thing that ever happened. The taste came out of my mouth. Something big happened. We call that grace. We call that grace. And I've been on that grace. But I'm gonna talk to you guys about radical grace. And that's the grace that's transformative. That's the grace that gives me something that I didn't even know. Just by not working. And for a long time, I thought about working on defects, you guys. Have at it. Have at it. Work on your own lust. Have at it. Work on your own dishonesty. Have at it. Why is that not effective? Because that's not the exact nature of it. You know why I lie? I don't lie because I'm a liar. I lie because I'm scared. I don't steal necessarily because I'm a thief. I steal because I'm scared. I'm scared I'm not going to have enough. I'm scared I can't get it for myself. I'm scared it's not going to be enough for me. I'm scared that I'm going to lose something that I thought that I needed. I'm scared I'm not going to get something that I thought that I wanted. I'm scared, so most of the time, the defect that I'm aiming at, that's not even the nature of it anyway. So I let this power do what it is that it does. And so I go in front of these people, man. And then the biggest piece that happens to me in the 8th and the 9th step, when I start practicing forgiveness, that's radical. When I start practicing the forgiveness piece, I already know about the cleaning up my past, and I already know about cleaning up my messes. I already know about making restitution. All that is cool, finding out what it is that I've done that I didn't know about. But the forgiveness piece, huge, starts doing something to me. It starts reorganizing me. And that's the piece that changes me, that makes me somebody different. All of the rest of the stuff, when I aim at behavior modification, changing my behaviors, modifying that's one thing. But you're looking at a man, 71 years old, who came in. I used to walk to a meeting. Somebody saw me one time walking to a meeting, and they said, "Hey, man, ain't you the lawyer?" My brother Ronnie's a lawyer. And I said, "Yeah, I'm a lawyer." Because I cannot lower. If you have this estimation of me, I can't afford to lower it. If that's what it is, even if that ain't me, I'm not lowering it. But for some reason, you guys, practicing these principles, not focusing on not being a liar, not focusing on not focusing on spiritual principles, being where you say you're going to be, doing what you say you're going to do. Spiritual principles, taking phone calls from people when I didn't want to take phone calls from them. Spiritual principles, showing up in places when I gave my word that I'm going to show up. Spiritual principles, the practicing integrity, and for a guy that had just spiritual principles, putting my eye on the power, not even thinking about. All of a sudden, some of the defects, they fall away. They fall away. They don't serve me anymore. I don't need to be that guy because I'm okay being this guy. Isn't that interesting? Did not think about the character building. When the character building takes place, some of the old things that I used to have to use as navigational tools, they don't serve me. They slip away. Same thing with getting loaded. Some of the old things I used to have to use as navigational tools. When I get sad, I don't have to take a drink, to drown my sorrows. I don't do it. Slip away from me. Our 10-step promises talk about these things just slip away. And so what it is that I do, you guys, and I know this is I wish I had been able to present, uh, when you do a workshop talk, you want to give people something to do, something you can write out, some tips, some hints. Here's an index card. Remember that you said that porn is a problem for you. Well, this is what you're going to do. Whenever you want to do some porn, you call a sponsee, and those tips. You know what'll happen when I focus on this relationship with this. But here's the thing, you guys. I'm a smoker. I like it to the head right now. Right? 6 and 7, which is the crux of what it is that we do. It's all of recovery. It ain't to the head right now. We don't, I don't get to determine the day or the time or the hour. In fact, by the time I've outgrown something and it has very little use for me anymore, it has probably happened well before I'm aware of. I tell my sponsees all the time, I see something different in you than you see in yourself. But it's a slow process. And don't beat yourself up, you guys. Everybody on here is wrestling with something. Everybody on here has found some things in themselves that they have found to be objectionable. You didn't stop smoking and you didn't stop using cocaine. You didn't stop drinking because of one or two bad nights. You stopped because of a long series of bumping your head against it. And that's the same thing with these defects of character, you guys. That's the bad news and that's the good news, though. And the good news is simply this, that there is a power that is active and alive in my life right now. Active and alive, that comes in through the broken places, the places that I think are not valuable. Those are the places that make me valuable until they aren't valuable anymore. And then they still stay valuable. How many people on here sponsor? I would then imagine most of you guys sponsor. And most of your effective sponsorship is as a result of these defects of character that happen. There's the parable about the broke pot, and there's the broke pot, and there's this Chinese parable, and there were these two pots, and this farmer had these two pots, and he would take them out every day. Some of you guys might have heard it. And he had a stick, and he had a pot on the left end of the stick and a pot on the right end of the stick. And the pot on the right end of the stick had a crack in it, and he'd fill them up with water, and he'd go out, and he'd come home every day with these two pots. And by the time he got home, the one on the left was full and the one on the right was only half full or a quarter full because the water came out through the crack. And the one on the left would be talking shit to the one on the right. Yeah, look at me. I fulfill my duties. I'm good. And the one on the right would be like, man, I ain't shit. Look at me. I'm useless. I don't get home with all the water. And the farmer looked at him one day and the pot was crying. Farmer said, what's up with you? And he said, man, I'm useless. Look at the other pot. I know you think more highly of the other pot. The other pot gets home with a full pot of water every day, and I know that you're going to get rid of me. And the farmer said, oh my God, nothing could be further from the truth. Let's go back outside. He said, you see your side of the road? On your side of the road, you see all those flowers that are growing on your side that are not on the left side. Those flowers grow because I know about that hole in you. And I put the seeds on that side of the road. And every day when we come home, you water the seeds. And those seeds grow into wonderful flowers. And those flowers, those are the flowers that are on our dinner table. And they brighten our house. And those without that crack, we wouldn't have those flowers. You are exactly how you're designed to be, and you have worth and you have value, and that is why you and only you can do what it is that you do. So all of you crackpots on here, you have value, you have worth, you are not enough, but you are complete. My name is Ralph White, and I am an alcoholic.
Thank you, Ralph. Thank you, brother. As always, just thank you for your share. You were heard, man. Appreciate you and grateful for you. We can close our eyes and just take a moment. My Creator, I am now willing that you should have all of me, good and bad. I pray that you now remove from me every single defect of character which stands in the way of my usefulness to you and my fellows. Grant me strength as I go out from here to do your bidding. Amen. I'd like to hand back to Ralph now, please, to take us out with a prayer or reading of your choice, please, man.
Well, Purdy, I was going to do the 7th step, but you did the 7th step. So I just want to thank everybody. Purdy, what a great idea. I could have done another hour on that, but you guys didn't want that anyway, but it's my favorite deal. After a moment of silence for the addict and the alcoholic who still suffers, please join me in the serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen.